Welcome to Pink Caddy Garage. We're still waiting on some parts for our Cadillac, so today we're going to focus on my car, which is 2013 Kia Sorento. Typically I'd take it to a quick oil change place, but not anymore. Today I'm going to change my own oil, so let's get started. So here's what we're going to need. Obviously we need oil and a filter, which I use full synthetic oil. We're also going to need a ratchet and two size sockets. First, we're going to need a 17 and then a 27. Now, to keep things clean, you want to have a pair of gloves just because you're going to get pretty oily. A funnel, and then paper towels, or if you even have some old rags laying around, you can use those too. But wait, there's more. Just really two more things. We're gonna use some ramps for me to drive up my car, and then also it's nice to have one of these oil pans that collects it so you can recycle the oil. So that's what we're gonna use today. So to use the ramps, you want to make sure that your tires are straight and that these are centered on them so that when you pull up, they'll just go straight on, and you want to keep your car rolling forward until you hit this little thing on the edge there, and then you know you're all the way on. When you're using the ramp, first thing you're going to want to do once you pull up onto it is to set your parking brake. And it's always a good idea to block just one of your tires with something heavy like a stone, just so that way it'll prevent your car from rolling backwards and off the ramp. Now that we're under the car, we're going to locate where the oil pan and the plug is to know where the oil is going to drain into our oil drain pan. So you're going to want to look for a dark colored pan. That's going to be this under here next to the exhaust pipe, and it's going to have a plug at the very end of it. And that's where our ratchet with our 17mm socket is going to come into place. So now we're going to try to get this plug off with our ratchet, and we're hoping that Little Red Riding Hood put this on and not some grizzly bear. It's a grizzly! No dice. Nope. So let's see if this 2-foot breaker bar can get this thing off. Yes. It's moved. Now what? All right, now when this oil starts dripping out, be really careful because it's hot. And here she comes, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going slow because this is new for me and I don't know exactly 100% what to expect. I'm nervous, y'all. I'd say that looks like some diarrhea coming out. That's what I'd have to say. But pretty cool. All right, we're gonna let that drain, and while it's doing that, I'm gonna go get the filter. My car has a 3.5 V6 engine in it. Did I get that right, Dad? So that means you're gonna find the oil filter housing right here, and that takes a 27mm ratchet with a socket. Now I have my 27mm socket wrench on this oil filter housing. So let's see if the bear put it on, or hopefully it's Goldilocks again. Why is it always the bear with this car? Well, I guess I'm gonna have to sissy my way through this video. There we go. No match for the sissy bar. There we go. Hey, this filter should pop right out. Just like that. When you open up this filter, there's going to be 3 components in it. There's going to be the actual cartridge itself. There's going to be an O-ring, and a little washer. Here's another tool to add to the list, and that's a pick. And we're gonna use that to get the old O-ring off of the filter housing. So you're just gonna pop it under there and then pull it right off. And there it went. Now we're gonna go back to school and go back to finger painting class, because that's what this next step requires. On the inside of your housing should be some residual oil. In order for this O-ring to insert smoothly, you're going to want to take a little bit of that oil from inside, and you want to coat this O-ring with oil before you put it back on. So it should You want to remember where you took it off. You're just going to want to guide it back on. And you can use this pick to help get it back over any parts. So that way it looks just like when you took it off. For your new cartridge, you're going to want to just pop it into the cap before you put it back into your engine. So in order for this to go back in, there's a little peg on the very bottom of it that when you put it down in, you want to slowly rotate it with slight pressure until you feel that peg pop into the hole. So we're going to go ahead and put that in. There we go. Now we're cooking with Crisco. There we go. Now we'll want to get our 27mm and snug it down. I'm not going to grizzly this back on, but you want to have it just snug enough to where it's on pretty good, but it's plastic, so you don't want to break it, so don't do it too tight. Alright, now that's getting pretty tight. That's how it's done. So the last piece from our box was this crush washer, and it's going to replace the one that came on our drain plug. So all you do is you take the old one off that was pretty distorted, put your new one on, and that's going to help prevent leaks from the future. So this dripping could go on for hours. We're going to put our drain plug back in and snug it up just a little bit, and then we're going to get that cleaned up. That's where your paper towel comes in handy. Now we're at the point where we can get our 17 again to snug this thing back on. Now once again, you don't want to be the grizzly bear in this picture. You just want to snug it on just enough. So we've got our funnel in. Something really important is the way you're going to pour this oil in. You want to pour it sideways, because if you pour it this way, it's just going to splatter all over your engine, and that's going to be an oily mess, so don't do that. So you're just going to want to slowly pour it in like this. If you're wondering why a paper towel has magically appeared, it's because I didn't realize that oil was slowly pouring out of the bottom. So you want to make sure that your funnel is tight on there, and maybe even put a paper towel around the bottom so that your engine doesn't start smoking. That was 5 quarts put in, which is what the big can holds. So we're going to take the smaller bottle and pour about half of it in there, which every bottle has a little indicator on how much is left in there. So it's really important you pay attention to that. Okay, that's pretty close, so we'll check it on the dipstick in a minute. Now let's put our cap back on and get this car off the ramps. Do not check your engine oil while it's on the ramps like I almost just did, because it won't be accurate. In the bottom right hand of your dash will be where your oil indicator is. Now this should go off within a few seconds of turning your car on. If it doesn't, there's a problem and you need to shut your car off immediately. There you go. I'll be ready with that. Last step is checking the dipstick. So you're going to want to take it out. You're going to want to wipe it clean. Stick it back in. And then let's take a look and see what we got. Now you're going to want your oil to be in between the low and the full. And that looks pretty good to me. And that's all it takes to change your oil. Now over the next couple days, you're going to want to check your driveway for oil spots, make sure that there's not any leaking anywhere. I've got to go pick up my 3-year-old, so I'll see you in 5,000 miles.